the entire film is very current, it's very relevant. It talks about COVID-19, it talks about the current pandemic we're in, which means that realistically, all of this was done and developed in a very short time span. It kind of feels crazy and insane that it was done and it was shot and it was edited and it came out. When did you get involved?
So yes, the project was start to finish. It was a very, very quick project for sure. Everybody had to figure out first the logistics, in this whole COVID situation, from getting the actors together and how would they get together, and how would we technically execute the project, with all the rules and regulations. So, but I'm very happy with the producers and everybody who put this whole thing together, and we executed it really, really well and smoothly. And at the same time, it was. It felt different for sure, because I'm not used to being on a set with mass and you don't even know who you're talking to half the time initially. It was different, but then it was a challenge, and most importantly, because everyone was participating in the whole exercise so well that everybody knew the protocol, and we followed it. And I think, we successfully completed it. So that's thumbs up to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Did it cause you any initial apprehension or anxiety knowing that you would be shooting and were in the midst of the pandemic? And at the time that you were shooting, you would have been one of the very first few films that was being shot on such a large scale. So were there any feelings of apprehension, anxiety, and how did you overcome those?
Honestly, I think in Canada, I was so used to wearing the mask every time and everything. But when I went to UK, it was pretty surprising that people were all over the place, and very less masks to talk about. And I was kind of a little surprised. But on the set, yes, initially it was this thing that it was always on the subconscious, but then you meet people, and it's like everyone's taking care of themselves, everyone's being cautious, no one's being like, oh, we don't care. No, that attitude wasn't there. So I think we were pretty okay. Day 2, day 3, we were all fine. We still kept our precautions, distancing and everything of that sort, but yes, then once the team comes together, we know how to go about it. The whole cycle starts. So that's when we said, okay, we're good to go.
Before I talk about your actual character and sort of her characteristics, which I really truly admire as characteristics in a man or a woman, quite frankly, but I want to talk about her look. She has a certain look that she's been given, and I think kudos to the hair and makeup team, and how many people were you working with to get all of that sorted? Because again, COVID-19 means limited people involved. So
yes,
how did the look happen?
So it was a challenge because with our makeup and hair designer, she was somebody from UK, very experienced, Simone. She did a fantastic job, because of course there was a certain age which we were supposed to follow for the character, and there was certain makeup and hair we were supposed to follow. Great contribution from the director, who had very, very clear vision about it. I was a little apprehensive because when you have to jump up the age, you need to be convincing, whether it's just the hair, makeup, but also the body language, the thought process, the whole mindset. But when they were so convinced about the whole character, the director was so clear, and so was my makeup and hair designer, that we all got together, and when we tried it and we saw the result on the screen, I think yes, it was a leap of faith, but then I kind of am happy about that.
It certainly adds a layer of confidence into the character. It's interesting because I think the look really works because she's just so resilient.
Yes, and also when you playing a character who has that kind of a power position or sort of an authoritative air about herself, you need to have that in your mindset. And I owe this to the director, Kanwal Sethi, who really it was a very short time period, but ideally we would have done a lot of workshops and stuff like that. But because it was just so last minute, everything was put together, we would take time, bits and bobs, to sit down and go through our lines and scripts and scenes, to understand very clearly, like, what is the vision. So the cameraman knew about what was the vision of the character, the director knew, the hair and makeup knew, the actor knew. So because of that, I think there was a certain clarity, which I'm very happy to work with a team like that, which gave me also a certain different perspective about being an actor, not just, taking it your way, but also taking the director's vision to a certain level.
Did you at all at any point look back at certain things that you've done in your life to get that authoritative demand that is required? I mean, you play a diplomat in London Confidential, and she comes with a certain, as you said, an air, there's a certain authoritative, she's an authoritative figure. So because not all of us are diplomats, we've never really been there before, do you take into consideration stuff that's happened in your personal life to sort of bring that flair in? How do you do it?
So I come from an armed forces background. My 3 generations, including my dad, was in the army. And so when you are in that environment, you do meet a lot of aristocrats, diplomats, So since a very young age, I've been exposed to those kind of people in authority, people with a certain stance and a certain power, including women as well. This character, yes, even for a matter of fact, she's an ambassador, in UK, it's a different country, but yet to hold your stand and your position, even when you're in a foreign country, I think it demands a lot of strength in the character. So yes, I did recollect a lot of people I met during my life when you were prepping for this character, and I have been impressed with quite a lot of women dignitaries in the past, and recollecting that, I think that also contributed towards playing this character.
You also have a certain accent and a certain diction, and of course that comes with the character that you're playing. And what comes across very clearly is that she speaks with a lot of clarity. In real life, the way all of us speak, we speak with a lot of ums, buts, and she doesn't do that, right? She's extremely clear about what she's saying and what she's doing. How do you get into that, making sure the diction is right, the accent is right? Would you rehearse before? Were you working with somebody? How did that come about?
Again, because the time was so short that, I think these things do not come in a day. This is just the crux of all those new characters, different experimentation, on screen, off screen. It's a whole combination. But yes, again, going back to the director who knew exactly what he wanted. So this was the brief given to me, and I'm happy that I could deliver it in. I could just pick it up from where he left, and he said, this is it, and we didn't take time of retakes or whatever. There was a certain confidence. Dialogue delivery is the most important factor in an actor's job, which I feel certain times actors kind of overlook that, a few times, which I think is a very, very important aspect. Anybody out there who's watching this and if wants to be an aspiring actor, please, dialogue delivery is very, very important, because that's when you hold your moments in pauses. I think I've learned that with time and experience, but yes, definitely contributing again to my director and everybody contributing towards the performance. Yes.
It's a short journey, but it's a long journey in the sense that you have accomplished so much. I mean, a film shot, edited, out within a time span of months is unheard of in today's day and age. But of course, with COVID-19, things have changed so much. What has been your biggest learning lesson, given that the environment that you shot in the pace that you probably shot at was very different than things that you've been involved in the past. You've been involved in so many Hindi and Punjabi films. What has been your biggest takeaway?
I think the most important thing which I've deduced out of this whole experience is that the prep is very, very important. Especially, I think, of course, it's a teamwork, but the clarity of a director is very important. You know, when it comes, he's the captain of the ship. He has to know what he's doing, which way is he driving people. In this, the more you prep, the better it is, so that there is no confusion, there is no lag time when you are actually on the set. You know, there's not too much of interaction, discussion. In looking at the COVID situation, you know, half of the time it's like, oh, you know, you got to maintain a distance. So even if you want to talk face to face, you know, your expressions have to suggest that, okay, this is what you want, or this is what you want from an actor, or it becomes tough. So the prep gives you a little more focus on what you want to do. And everyone has to be on the same page. And I think that comes with, again, focus with everybody on the team. That, okay, this is what we want. If there are any questions, just get them out of the way beforehand. Of course, there are some things which you can't help, which are going to be last minute, of course. But that can be dealt with till the time everyone knows what they're doing. So lesser number of retakes, the better it is for everybody. So the faster you churn that out, the faster the productivity is. And again, thankful to all the team, and they're all experienced people who were on board. So we did not have that kind of leverage of going amiss with anything. And that is why we could do this so quickly. And again, people who were at the back end, the team with post-production, editing, music, I think they've worked very hard to churn this product out in such a quick time, and hats off to them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me, Kulraj. It was wonderful speaking to you. All the very best with the current situation that we're in, but hopefully there's more projects like this that are able to come out during these times. And it's because of artists like you and directors and filmmakers and the entire cast and crew on London Confidential that we're able to still keep ourselves entertained while we still maintain some sort of physical distancing and stay at home as much as possible. So kudos to the artists who I don't think get a lot of credit right now, but it's because of you guys that we're able to sit at home and maintain some semblance of sanity sometimes. So kudos and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Irene. And it's been a challenge. At the same time, I think it's a feather in everyone's hat, because this is the first project during COVID times to be launched in India in terms of, you know, shooting abroad. And setting the precedent was something which I think I'm very proud of. At the same time, yes, a job has to be done. You know, there are always pros and cons, but lovely working with the team. Thank you for having us on the show, and looking forward to talking to you again.